Okay, different methods, different type. Basically, just gonna talk for a bit. It's kind of awkward because I like being able to just read something, but I guess I don't get to have that. But I'll just talk for a bit, tell you what's going on, tell you what I'm thinking, and I guess that's really it. I want to keep this pretty minimal with editing and stuff. I don't really want to do all that much. At the very least, I will cut out, like, if it's like I'm thinking for like 5 minutes, and you don't have to sit through that, but you might have to deal with like me, like, breathing. You might hear me breathing, which is kind of crazy. And I'm also like always looking at you now. It's very personal. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a ramble, I guess. I asked people if they thought that would be something nice or enjoyable or something to be interested in. And the answer was yes, because I guess it is perceived as more genuine or real, although it lacks a certain level of quality, at least in my personal opinion. So basically, my idea with what I'm doing right now is maybe something like this type of video once a week, just to kind of ramble or talk with you personally, and it's not written out as a script or anything, I'm just talking. And then I still do that writing type content that's more formulated and you could say intellectual. I don't know if I would use that word, but some might. And I'll just kind of do those two things. Along with that, I'm also thinking about other types of things, because I kind of want to do other types of content here and there. Should I get a little bit closer? Would you like that? I don't know. Yeah, we'll get a little bit closer. Sure, it's personal, very, really personal. I would, it's kind of like, let me make a video about my Minecraft server in order to get the same people who haven't been playing as much, playing more because there's a video about it and now they're all excited. And then people who otherwise wouldn't want to be part of the community are now interested because everyone loves Minecraft and everyone wants to play on a Minecraft server, so that's something. I'm also thinking about doing other types of, like, let me back up, actually, I lied. I want to do other types of, like, community type, like, events, because maybe, like, I would imagine a common thing that we all have in mind, or we all like. Sorry, I'm, like, looking at nothing. Something we all like is probably VR chat, right? That's probably the commonality or linking feature between me and everyone else who's watching the type of content that I'm producing. So maybe an event in there might be interesting. I don't really know what that would look like because I'm very like focused on talking. It's like, oh, all this is about talking and talking and talking. But I can't like talk to like more than a couple people at once. And it's like, I don't want to be the center. Really, all I want to do is just kind of present or provide a platform for different people who maybe have similar traits to me and allow them to connect, which is kind of what I've done with the Discord server, and it's kind of worked well, and I'm kind of happy about that. Along with that, I guess other type life event, for the past like 3 months, I've been doing this like contract position, and now that's over. So now that means I have more time. I don't know if you've even noticed. I mean, I'm willing to admit it, but there's definitely been like a decrease in the quality of the content I've been producing because it's like you work a full-time job and you still want to produce something on a weekly basis. And even though you don't have to, there's nothing forcing you to do that. You still want to, and because I still wanted to, that means I was really like pushing. But the pushing doesn't always mean it's going to result in good work. So hopefully, at least this month, who knows what could happen, but as far as I understand, it will be just this month, and I will try making things that are as good as they were 3 months prior. I'm sure I made a couple decent things throughout that time period, but most were relatively short. We're talking like probably an average of like 3,000 words or something, so relatively short pieces, and they weren't really worked through or proofread to the level I would now, or that I am now. And that's another thing. So I'll have more time for at least a little bit. And then from there, who knows what, I'm pretty sure you imagine what will happen. I don't know if you really like tech. I've been doing a lot of tech stuff recently, and that's been kind of fun. Fun in some ways, fun and not so fun in others, but I did some, like, oh yeah, now I'm hosting the Minecraft server, I'm hosting my website, I'm hosting my own network storage, I'm hosting my own remote desktop server, I'm doing all that stuff. Oh, I'm hosting my own DNS server. It's like I'm doing all this stuff, and it's all cool, but I don't think like tech stuff is really the type of content I want to make here. So, I mean, I don't know. I just thought I'd mention it because there's at least a couple people, most prominently in the Discord server. It's like, of course, I'm going to attract like Linux people, like terminally online people. So, it was kind of fun, kind of interesting, maybe to you, maybe hopefully. I'm getting, once again, having more time. I'm getting back to reading a lot more, reading again, and I feel like that's been helping me a lot. Because I was reading throughout the extent of my contract, but the extent of reading, how much reading, also really matters. Because if it's like I'm reading a lot, then it's a lot better than reading a little. Reading 1 hour a day versus reading like 3 or 4 or 5 hours is pretty big difference in my mind. So being able to get a lot more in is nice, and I feel like that helps me do more writing, and also improves the quality of the writing because now I've got new ideas and some level of freshness rather than staleness, because I imagine there's a certain level of repetitiveness within the content, at least very recently, and more so than usual. So hopefully that will be kind of, I don't want to say fixed, but maybe made better. I guess I've also been thinking about, I've definitely kept within, or stayed within this kind of, I wouldn't say strict guideline, but limited box. And basically within that box, I'm mostly doing essay type, informative, maybe some might use the term philosophical ideas and presentations. And I do enjoy those, and I will continue doing that, but I also want to work on and present more creative things. And maybe that'll be something that's interesting to you, maybe not, because I guess you're still going to get some level of what I'm already doing, but it's just going to be a little more harder to find than what is just like direct, or as direct as I can be, because I can word things very weird and make it confusing for other people, and I don't even realize that, but it's something I do. I guess maybe not. Well, I guess I could say this. I've been spending a not inconsiderable amount of time playing Minecraft on the aforementioned server because it's been actually quite fun. Normally you have your like 2 weeks of Minecraft every year and that's it, you're done or whatever, but it's been holding on for a bit longer for me and I've been enjoying it. Obviously now I'm trying to I want to limit the amount of time that's spent on that versus the other things. So as long as I get the important things done, then I can go ahead and spend time on that. But it's only when those things are done, or maybe if in the circumstances I feel too terrible to do those things, I'm sick or whatever, then yeah, sure, I'll just, relax for a bit and do Minecraft. I guess it's been enjoyable at least. And it's nice having other people be, just joining. There's definitely instances where I'm just in the server alone and someone joins and it's just like, it makes it feel less lonely. Even if you're not actively talking, the belief that there's someone there definitely makes me more interested in actually doing and playing the game than if I were just in a single player world, because it's kind of isolative to just play in a single player world. I like being able to present things to people and show things to people and then have things presented to me and other people build things which benefit me and then I give them something back. I always like those transactions, and so because that's happening, I've been enjoying that a lot. And I probably will continue doing that. And like I said, I will probably make some sort of video, maybe even just like reviewing and showcasing a lot of the builds people have made, maybe some things I've done, work in progress things, maybe to get people more excited, like I already said. So there's that. I guess I could tell you how I've been, which is, at least in the past few days, pretty okay. Because not working definitely helps a lot. Because I love working, and I need to work, but the work I do has to be meaningful to me, what I consider meaningful. Otherwise, I'm putting myself in a way where I'm distancing myself from myself. And last video about depressive lows basically kind of described what happens when I continue to distance myself and continue to push myself away from myself and disassociate, and I don't help myself at all, and I don't pay attention to my feelings at all. And it's, whoa, that was a foot. Or I don't pay attention to my feelings at all, and it's not really good. So I want to make that, I want to work on that, basically. I want to get a little, no, I want to get closer, no, it's fine. So yes, past few days, a lot more neutral, but I definitely had more instances of those depressive lows because I just stopped doing the things that once helped me, and I want to get back to doing those things, and I think I will, and I definitely am. Just simply doing what I'm doing right now and feeling like I can, and it's not forced, is so much better than feeling like it is forced and I have to do this. It's more like I'm doing this because I want to, rather than I need to. And both of those can work together, but it's a matter of how often that's happening. Because if it only feels like I need to, and that's all there is, then it's not great. It's not very good. Hopefully I will maintain a level of neutrality, because I don't want to make like consecutive, like depressive lows, oh I'm so sad, blah blah blah, because it kind of gets repetitive. You kind of get the idea. I made a video about depression like a couple months ago, I guess it's been a couple months ago, and that probably would give you the same ideas that I presented in the last one, but I guess there's been some level of development and things were different in this circumstance, so there's that. But not it being totally long-lasting is very good. Oh yeah, I guess there's more music things, which has kind of been like, I don't know, it's really not that interesting. Okay, well I guess it's kind of, I don't know, I've been just focusing on bass usually every day rather than guitar. I guess that's kind of relevant. Because if you look at like the About page on my site, it's like, oh man, I'm really into guitar. I've been really focusing on guitar, but I've kind of transitioned to bass because I feel like it kind of works with how I think more so than guitar. And also I have a 4-string bass, which means 2 less brain cells that I have to use in order to do what I want. Because I'm more of like a single note picking type mindset, and obviously there's just like I have to do many different things. I have to practice other things, but I have a certain level of comfort with that, and that enables me to just play around and kind of get something out of me, which is good, and I enjoy that. And I've been doing that, and I will continue doing that probably every day. I don't really have any particular goals with that, other than just to continue doing it. And that's really what matters. I just want to continue doing it. I haven't really drawn anything in a very long time, and that's been okay too. That doesn't really bother me. I've been just focused on other things, and I feel like that's been okay. I've kind of gotten to a certain level of comfort with the things I do, and I'm okay with that. That comfort, I was talking about this with one of my coworkers, which was basically, you reach a certain level of development where you kind of get comfortable with where you are and what you're doing in life, and the anecdotal age I chose was like 30. Because I notice when people reach about 30, they're pretty comfortable, because if you follow like just like a traditional method of like, oh, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get the job and then I'm going to get the house and then I'm going to get the family and whatever, it's like, yeah, I mean, about that age, it makes sense. But for me, I mean, definitely don't want to exactly do that, but I definitely see myself getting more concrete in certain ways. And one of the ways I described to him was just kind of like media consumption. So basically, I think a lot of people consume media through like movies and shows and other visual types of media, while I really haven't been exposing myself to that, and I really hadn't in the past. Not because I didn't want to, but just because it didn't come naturally. But I have been reading a lot. So I've been kind of, once again, I keep mentioning boxes and putting things in boxes. I've been putting kind of reading in a box, and that's kind of the box I stay within. And sometimes I do exit that when it seems like something is especially good, but that's kind of the box I've been staying within. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because there's a lot of good visual media out there. It doesn't mean it has to be new, but there's just so much, and it's there and available to me. So if I wanted to watch it, I could. And I have to stay aware of things like that happening, where I'm kind of locking myself down. Awareness is one thing, but actual execution is another. I guess another important thing going on the awareness thing is kind of my own awareness of me and my actions. I find that I thought, or at least I thought for some time, that awareness was like one of my good qualities, and maybe it is, but the awareness that I would have, maybe, I don't know how long ago, but basically I would be maintaining a certain level of questioning, always, making sure things are being checked. I'm doing checks on myself. And then when I don't do that, I kind of fall into certain behaviors, which at least I'm finding out that aren't really desirable and other people really don't like. So I'm trying to be more aware of that and try to act in more better and intelligent ways. And maybe some of it has to do with definitely some parts of me are still, it's kind of weird to say, but definitely have a childish level of maturity. And there's reasons for that. But I'm developing through that, and I'm acknowledging that part of me, and then helping myself develop. Because definitely one part of me is like 70 years old, but the other half is like 8. So it's like, actually it's more like 14. Yeah, well, yeah, 13, 14. But you get the idea. And so I'm just trying to help myself through that. And also 70 is an exaggeration. I definitely have noticed. I'm looking around. Look now. You're looking at. Now I'm looking up. I'm not gonna look at you anymore. I've been noticing I'm just kidding. Some decrease in viewership, actually a considerable amount, which makes sense because if I decrease the quality, people don't really want. The people want what once was, not what is, and the quality keeps going down. It's like, oh well, we don't really want that, and also in frequency. Of course, I want the 1 week thing, but if I skip that, then algorithmically I'm shooting myself in the foot. So hopefully I'll get the ball rolling again, because that is something I want. I want viewership. I want people connected. A lot of it is because what I've described in the introduction video where I'm super scared to say anything. That I want to share information that helps people, and that's true, and that still holds on true. But I'm also, the ways I want to help myself maybe have altered, because it's like, well, man, if I could actually get more viewership, then maybe I could turn this into something that I spent more time on rather than less. So we'll see what comes of that. Well, who knows? I will try my hardest, because that's all I really can do. So as long as I'm doing that, then I guess it's okay. I guess I could tell you, there's probably only so many people that will actually bother getting to this point, so I guess, for you people, I'll tell you what's going to come out in, I don't know, a couple days, which is about motivation. And that's all I'm actually going to tell you. It's just about motivation. So hopefully you are in need of informative content about being motivated and staying motivated and getting motivated and knowing how to get there and knowing the limitations of motivation, blah, 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 motivation, kind of probably similar things I tackle whenever I choose a particular topic. And I'm at the point where I have multiple ideas. Was my foot getting crazy? Whatever, I'll have to fix that later. I have many ideas that I'm going to execute through the next couple weeks, and hopefully some of them will be good. We'll see how they are, see how people like them, see if they find meaning in them. Because some things I've shared get a lot more acknowledgement from people that I didn't expect, because it was like, oh yeah, I didn't really put in that much effort, versus maybe the time video. I made a series of I don't even know how many essays about time. It's an hour long, and it's people didn't really care about that. But creating without creativity, that's a whole lot of viewership for some reason. I don't really know. And I guess there isn't any kind of way to rationalize it. And I have to be okay with that just kind of being the case, as long as I use this platform. Although this platform is really just, I need something, because otherwise it's just oh, you only have a site? Well, how are people going to know that you even exist, or that they should even consider the words you say, or maybe even how are you going to make a community of people if there's no people? Things like that. So this platform is kind of a necessity in some sense. So I guess I'll continue using it. I don't really like it. I really don't like YouTube, but it's like what else am I going to use? Because I'm not going to do Twitch, because Twitch is streaming, and streaming is not the type of content I ever want to make. Unless people are like begging me to stream. Please stream. Please make a Minecraft stream every single day, 8-hour Minecraft stream every day. Then, maybe I'll do it. But, I need like 1,000 people begging me to do that. Otherwise, it's not happening. Sorry. But like, there's the very limited video hosting platforms, and the other alternatives that do exist, well, they kind of suck. They kind of suck bad. And I really wouldn't want to use them. Although YouTube kind of sucks too. It's like, oh yeah, let me uninstall Chromium to install Firefox so I can have my uBlock origin work properly. It's like, wow, man, I just hate ads. And you should hate ads too. And even if I put ads on these videos, you should still use uBlock origin and block the ads if you want. Yeah, and I would suggest that, because ads suck. And I hate ads, and that's good. Keep hating ads. Because ads are just okay. Now we're really getting into ramble territory. I've been reading a book, 2 books actually. One, there's definitely some distance between them, but basically it's just about like propaganda and doublespeak, which is just kind of 1984, saying something but actually saying something else, or really not saying anything. War is peace, or what was the other one? I don't know, something like that. Basically, propaganda is constantly something we're exposed to in our lives, and we just have to deal with that. But if we can, I think we should try minimizing that. Why should you expose yourself to propaganda all the time if you don't need to? If you don't need to be exposed to lies all the time, why would you? I would say try to minimize that as much as possible. Because it's not even just about direct experience of that media, or I say media, I mean propaganda. But if you talk about media, right, let's say social media, you've got all the other people who don't care, and they're constantly eating up advertisements. They're constantly eating up this propaganda, whether it's from their government, or it's from corporations, or from something even on a smaller scale, like a school. They're still eating up, and they're making it part of them, and then they're spitting that back out. And I don't want that within me, and it is. I can't help it. I've watched television, I've watched ads, I've been exposed to so many advertisements. I go outside, I'm going to see advertisements, and it's terrible. But the reality is, with that, I can consider the ways that I can minimize that. So one of the ways I do is just having an ad blocker. Ad blocker is good. I mentioned the Pi-hole or DNS server, but I didn't mention Pi-hole, but basically that lets me block a bunch of tracking and ads, which helps too. And I will continue doing that. Before I used Pi-hole, I used NextDNS, and I would suggest NextDNS, but I was like reaching in the query limit, so I couldn't use it anymore. Anyway, yeah, propaganda is pretty terrible, and not only that, there's also the fact that like you read books and it's kind of propaganda, and you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware when it's propaganda. And one way, and this isn't even my idea, this was just kind of presented in one of the books, propaganda is kind of holding a negative connotation. So you could say, and sometimes this actually can be okay, right? Let's say we're America in World War II and we have propaganda against the Nazis. Even if the things we say are not true, there are things that are true. And it's like, okay, we're just going to add to the not trueness, or we're going to exaggerate. And it's like, okay, well, it makes sense. It's for, there's a reason for it. They're Nazis. That's, it's okay. It's okay to make negative propaganda about Nazis, I would say. But also it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe that's not okay. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Because then, if we decide that's okay, where's the stopping point? When is it not okay? Because as long as the government is concerned, anything it produces, no matter which government it is, that's the truth. But the enemy is always the one producing the propaganda. But actually, they're both producing propaganda, because obviously the Nazis produced a lot of propaganda. A lot. But the US is no better. In propaganda, I mean. Just propaganda production. And it's only gotten worse, because Nazis are kind of like gone, thankfully. But the propaganda by the United States is not, because the United States is still around, and we just keep making more and more and more. So I suggest, try minimizing the propaganda, and also just try to be aware of, like, it's hard. It's very hard to be aware of many of the ways that things are being altered and kind of hidden away for you or made confusing. Once again, mostly in government. Names being changed. It's no longer the Department of War. It's like Department of Defense. Oh, now we're defending. It's no longer, it's like the defense budget. It's our defense budget. It's not our war budget. Because we're definitely not sending arms out to anyone else. We're not doing that. We're not sending our soldiers anywhere. We're not doing that. We're not killing people. No. That's why we have the peacekeepers, because they're here to keep peace. It's like, wow, I mean, you use all these terms that maybe at first glance, it's like, oh, peace, good, I love peace. But it's really not that. Oh, you want to hide away that you've dropped an atomic bomb on another nation. Oh, yeah, it's the fat boy. Oh, yeah, it's fine. You can only be so aware of these things. And there's also just the changing of terminology. Things are always just being hidden away or made more difficult to understand for the average person. And that's intentional. And politicians are going to do the same too. They're not going to say what they actually mean. They're just going to say what they mean, but not what they actually mean. If you know what I mean. They're going to be contradictory, but also not contradictory. And they won't give that extra level of explanation. And mostly, the example in one of the books I read was like a lot of like Star Wars, Reagan bullshit. Just so much of that territory of like, wow, this guy's BSing. Just an unbelievable amount. So I suggest being aware of that, or at least trying to be aware of that, because like I said, it's not totally easy, but do what you can. And something that was inside, I don't even remember what it was. I guess it's been kind of a while since I did this, or talked about this, or wrote about it. I mean, there was basically a certain point at a piece of writing where I was like, you should do the things you want to and not be held back. And I kind of had like a speculative idea that certain, maybe not figures, but definitely there's been a strong idea surrounded around the weakness of people and people not being able to make change and not change with themselves. And I would suggest, because in that video I was very like just still and not enthusiastic and not emotional. I was very depressed while making that, but I still wanted to do it. And I was trying to make something positive, but I don't think people really heard it the same level, because if I'm not talking with that emotionality, if I'm just talking, I'm reading this script and I'm talking, it's like, people aren't really going to get into that. They're not going to really know that I'm trying to be sharing something positive. But I'll tell you now, basically, I think there's a lot of rhetoric, whether it be on the internet, just in websites, just constantly shared of, you can't do anything, you're powerless, you shouldn't try doing the things you want to do, you can't group together and make change. That stuff really, pisses me off. Because if that weren't true, we wouldn't make it to the point we're at now. There wouldn't be any sort of contention between people. There wouldn't be any adversity, because we'd all be going in the same direction. I think I used that exact wording in that video. The same direction. But actually, we're all going our own directions, because you could say we're individuals, but I'll be careful with the real nuances of that. But basically, I think people need to think that they do have control over what they think and what they do, and even if that's not totally true, it's better for them to think that than to think they don't have any control and that they're weak and then that they can't change anything and they can't group together, because that makes me angry. I hate that rhetoric. Because people can do the things they want to do, and people can group together, and people can make change. But if they're constantly told they can't, and if people believe what they're told, then what do you think they're going to believe? They're going to believe they can't do anything, and that upsets me a lot, because I want people to think that they can do the things they want to do, because they can. Because all it takes is believing that they can to reach that point. I believe I can write, so therefore I can write. We can get into the nuances of the quality of the writing, the nuances of what I'm writing about and why I'm writing and blah, 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 blah. But the fact is, as I can write. I've learned how to write since like first grade or whatever. It's still writing. Doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't mean it's to a college level. Doesn't mean it's even high school or whatever. Whatever it is, it doesn't, it's still the thing can happen. And as long as I keep doing it, there's going to be improvement. And obviously I focus strongly on creation, especially in arts. I usually talk about arts, because I think that's what a lot of people are attracted to, especially with what I'm sharing and what I've shared already, which has gotten a lot of viewership. It's like, oh, creating without creativity. I already mentioned that before, but basically it's like, wow, people really care about creating things, and especially within arts. And that's good, but creation, that's only one aspect. It's also just, we could, creation in arts is one thing, but we can augment that and alter it and move it into making change and creating change in our society and how people act and what people consider important. And even if it's like, oh, I'm going to move my friends away from using Instagram, I'm going to move them to a different platform. I'm going to stop browsing Instagram Reels. I'm going to stop browsing YouTube Shorts. I'm going to stop consuming the short form media. I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna stop consuming all the slop. I'm gonna stop consuming whatever is immediately presented to me, and I'm going to use intention and my own agency to decide what I'm going to consume. And then from there, I will just continue on that path. You can do that. Anyone can do that. But I think a lot of people need to be told that's the case, because otherwise, they don't. They just do whatever. They just float around. I mean, maybe for some people that's just all they're going to be, and that's okay. There's got to be people like that. But I think there's also a lot of people that don't have to be like that. That can go and do whatever they want, and they can have their own agency and decide what they want. And obviously, yes, the nuances once again of like, oh yeah, well actually you're not what you decide you want yourself to be. You're actually just the sum of your parts. You're just a result of all your environmental factors and whatever. Sure, that might be true. But the point is, if you're thinking that you have control and you can do whatever you want, then you're actually a lot closer to being someone who does have that control than if you were to think you don't have that. And that's really the point. Because maybe there's one technical way of saying like, oh yeah, technically that's not true. But you have to consider beliefs and the benefit of certain beliefs over others. Because if it benefits you to do things as a result of thinking that you actually aren't you and you don't really have any choice and you're just a result of your parts or whatever, and you don't even have your own agency or whatever, then sure, but by thinking that, I would say most people just kind of get, I don't want to say nihilistic, but definitely some do, that they don't have any control and that they shouldn't do anything in the first place. And they shouldn't try, and they shouldn't push, or whatever. And I think that's bad. I think that's really bad. And I think that's kind of information that's always pushed online. When I was writing that video, I was constantly being recommended videos about just like, oh, the world is terrible, everything's falling apart, I hate everything, we're powerless, we can't do anything. By we, I mean just like they're saying in the presence of the people, we can't do anything. We're in the technocratic dystopia and we can't change it. It's like, okay, great. Is that what you want to think? Do you want to think change can't happen? Or do you want to think change can happen and then actively try getting there? I mean, it's a lot easier to be like, oh, I'm giving up. I don't want to do this. I don't want to try. Or that I'm powerless, so I can't do anything. That's so much easier than, standing up and having the strength to fight back and to make change and to bring people together. One of those is a lot more taxing than the other. And maybe this is pushing it. Well, actually, this is going to be quite extreme. But I would say the difference in something that I notice people say online, myself included, I want to die, or I want to kill myself, or, oh, I'm going to kill myself, and blah, blah, blah. Not in the serious sense. Sure, I've said that in the serious sense, but there are contexts where I say it in a non-serious way, where it's just like, oh, I'm defeated. And I feel like that's kind of demonstrative of what people have thought and become in their thoughts, more a feeling of defeat and loss. And because we're in this idea that we've been defeated or we have lost, what that is, that's not exactly known because it's not true, but we feel, or at least a lot of people feel defeated, and that the battle is over and nothing can be done. So I guess I'll just, browse my shorts and I'll just not do anything and I'll, be upset and, I'll just do drugs and I'll just whatever. I won't even care. I'll just play video games all day. I don't care. Isn't that, I don't know, I feel like that's terrible. You can have that. You can have that once in a while, but not all the time. And if you think you're defeated, then you are defeated. And that's kind of the problem. Because if it's constantly spread that you are defeated, oh yeah, you're defeated, you don't have a chance, you can't fight back, everything's over, and nihilistic ideas are constantly spread. It's like, oh yeah, we're powerless, now that you will never do anything in your life, blah, 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 blah. You're going to think that, and if you think that, then you'll act in that way, and then you won't do anything, and then it'll be true, and because it'll be true, it'll be, I don't know what the word I want, but it's basically self-enforcing, self-reinforcing. Basically, as a result of it being the case, it continues on. But if you don't believe that, then it doesn't continue on. Oh, that was definitely something, a ramble, talking a lot there. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, here's another thing, changing topics again. I gotta work on my website a bit more. I kind of have to, for one, I have to update the About page, because it hasn't been updated in so long. And then some things are definitely out of date, and I need to change things, and because things change, and I change, and things have changed considerably since that was written. I also kind of want to add like an image gallery. The image gallery will probably just be like VR chat pictures, because it's like, oh, I love VR chat. And I imagine people will like that. At least a couple people, even if like 2 people like it, then I think that's kind of awesome. And also, I just need to like revamp the writing page, because I keep adding new pieces of writing, and then the list is constantly down, so I kind of will just add like an archive probably, where the archive will be that long list, but the page will just present you with the last, I don't know how many, but some number of newest writings. So you don't have to scroll all the way to the bottom. I'll do that stuff. It's like website stuff. Ooh, fun, interesting. Not really. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm gonna end things. I don't know how this will be received, but give me input. That's all I want. I just need input on what I'm doing here. You know, as long as I have input and awareness of what people who watch this type of content think, then I can think about what I like and what I want to do versus what people want. And if there's overlap, then I can focus on that overlap. Because if I don't know, then how could I ever focus on that overlap? I can't. And then I'll just be doing whatever, and then people aren't happy, and then it's like, how am I supposed to know? Obviously, there's like, oh, dislike the video, and that's good. That helps, but it's, there's more nuance than that. It's like, what was disliked? What was liked? And then what can I focus on? What can I make better? A lot of those things I already know, but I only know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know, so I would ask for input. And I guess that's it. I hope you got something out of this. Maybe not. I keep saying you, because I'm talking to you, the individual. You directly. I'm speaking to you. Yeah, I'm serious. I'm speaking to you.